to get the Stancer Dancer, but not me in it. Europe. So what are we doing?
Cleaning it. You got water on your lens.
Yeah, from you.
Sorry. Anyway.
Are you?
We're cleaning the Stancer Dancer because it's been sitting at my friend's house because I didn't have a spot for it till now. And then we're going to install some chase base stuff. Starting with the power steering kit. So we got the Stancer Dancer moved over to our new place and got it washed up. It's clean now. And the next thing we're going to do is some maintenance on it. And it's got a leaky power steering system. And I'm going to start with installing a chase base power steering kit. It's going to be pretty sweet. Just to kind of talk about everything you get with your kit when you buy a power steering kit from Chase Base. This one with the braided hose and the -6 AN fittings is your return line. If you get a kit with a cooler, it'll come with 2 of these lines that will run to the cooler and then run from it and back to your reservoir. I'd opted out of the cooler because Chase runs his without one and it runs fine. If I have any trouble with it, then I'll just buy the power steering cooler upgrade kit. This is the pump feed. It's got -10 on one end and then a banjo on the other to go to your pump. It's also braided. And this is the high pressure line. It's a polytetrafluoroethylene line, PTFE. It's a big word, try saying that 5 times fast. This is also -6, like the return line. A lot of people ask us hey, which one's which? The glossy line is the high pressure. It also has our logo on it. The PTFE is super chemical resistant. It just makes it last so much longer. It's PVC lined on the outside, just for a nice sleek look. This is the bracket that comes in the E36 kit. It's so that you can use your OEM bracket and keep it in the same location. It goes around your reservoir like so. Makes the outer diameter of this the same as the OEM reservoir, and your clamp just goes around and you tighten it up and it uses the same one. And this is the reservoir. This is our coup de grace. I don't know what the right word is. It's a big deal. It's our highest seller, I'm pretty sure. The triple baffle power steering reservoir. It's secrets, but it goes from, in our tests, from 120 psi in the return to 12 psi by the time it gets inside the reservoir. So it really cuts down. Your car's not going to have that kind of pressure, but that's the bar that we set, and we made sure that we could achieve that so that it would work in any application. And then you've got your -10 to your pump feed and your -6 for your return, which is where the magic happens. And then you've got the vented cap that comes with it, and that keeps it to where you don't get any spillage, but you can still, it still regulates, it lets the pressure out. So once your power steering fluid gets hot and it expands, you know, it would cause pressure, but it's got the vent so that the air just comes out, but you don't lose any fluid, and you don't get sloshing and stuff everywhere. So it's super nice. Everybody loves it. It's great. I love it. I'm just taking apart stuff to make it easier to get to everything for now.
Did you break anything?
Not yet. Give me time. Now there's way too many vacuum hoses. I don't like it. This thing broke. I like squeezed it to undo the clasp and it was just like snap. This thing is like hard as a rock. I don't know if it's always like that or if it's just, you know.
Special edition?
Special edition. Sucks in here. Bing, bing, bing. It's like a horror movie.
Yeah, when you were laughing.
It's so dirty under here. Like there's clearly something leaking. I think it's the high pressure hose. But I mean, all this stuff's covered in gunk. But there was ATF down here, and that's what you run in the power steering system on E36 and lots of other cars. It's good stuff. Dextron 3. I'm gonna run synthetic because synthetic is better. It doesn't break down as fast. It handles the heat better. There's like just an infinite number of reasons why it's better. Kids want to drift too.
With their tricycles?
I want to drift my tricycle.
I love it. Do it.
I want to drift my trike. I want to drift my tricycle. I want to drift it where I like.
So leave us a thumbs up if you want that to be our music for our channel.
Leave us a thumbs up if you want Freddie Mercury to start doing music for my channel. I'll bring him back.
I'm gonna let you know. I don't even know if I can see what you're doing.
I'm about to spill everywhere.
How about not?
Give me the drain pan. Please. Please give me the drain pan.
Oh, you could.
Oh, you've got to be. It doesn't fit. It's too big. Not my fault. There's 4 jack stands and no jack.
What happened?
What happened with what?
The oil pan.
Nothing happened. Fine.
They're gonna find out once they see what we use for an oil pan.
Drain pan.
Whatever.
If you don't have a jack, don't work on your car. Advice.
Don't worry, working on your car.
I said advice, and I didn't say I followed my own advice. Alright, so last night we got all the power steering stuff pulled off. It's super dirty and nasty, but I mean, that's what we expected. I knew it was leaking somewhere, and it's like covered in crud, probably road grime too. While I was down there, I noticed that the belts are like super dry rotted. So I pulled those off, got both of them. They're both pretty bad. It was kind of making a noise. I thought maybe it was a pulley, but I think it might just be that the belt was slipping, because it's like really hard, not, you know, not where you want it to be. And I'd already bought new belts just in case, but I'm gonna go ahead and swap them because they look really gnarly. Ended up pulling the cruise control off because the cable was pretty bad. It was almost completely broken, and I just kind of twisted it with pliers to get it to break off because it was like really frayed. I don't use it anyway, but anyway. Yeah, so next thing we're going to do is start the install of the new Chase Base power steering kit. This is everything that you're going to need. Some AN wrenches, because you don't want to use regular steel wrenches on your aluminum AN fittings. And then a 10mm to tighten down the bracket for your reservoir. That's basically it. We sell the AN wrenches on chasebase.com, and I recommend getting them because you shouldn't use regular steel tools on aluminum fittings because it's easy to damage them that way. I'm going to start by doing the high pressure line first because it doesn't involve the reservoir, and then work around that. I'll do the pump feed next because I have to get on the bottom to put this in, and then I'll just connect it up, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So you're going to want to take off all your fittings, just on the ones that you're working on. You'll take your fitting off and install it first, and then go ahead and install your line on it. I'm going to start with the one on the rack, and then I'll go from there, and I'll do the one on here, and then I'll put the line on itself. I left all the banjo bolts in last night when I took them out, just to, when I took everything apart, just to keep anything from falling into the hole. So basically what I'm doing is going through and putting all the fittings that adapt to AN, dash 6. All of these are dash 6. And I'm just going through and finger tightening them, making sure that the crush washer is centered as best as I can get it, just to make sure it seals really well. Cleaning off the surface on the pump and the rack to make sure that it's got a nice clean sealing surface. All this stuff should thread in pretty easy by hand. You shouldn't have to fight it. You shouldn't have to use a wrench to get it all the way down. If you do, there's something wrong. Go and check, make sure you got the right fitting for the right hole and all that stuff. I've got the two on the rack down there for the high pressure and low pressure, the return, and then I've got the one on the pump here for the high pressure. It's hard to see. There it is. There's the one for the high pressure. That'll be okay. And then I'm going to put the pump feed on there next. We've got our own banjo for that. And that's right here. This particular one is actually a prototype. We're changing up the design a little bit. We've had a few issues with, not really issues, a few instances where somebody would try to bleed their system and it would not want to, but it's not aerating at the reservoir. So it's doing its job, and we figured out that these banjos hole were not drilled out to spec like they were supposed to be. So we added additional holes so that you'd get some extra flow in there, because we believe that that was causing a restriction, and that is what was giving us an issue. For this one, you have to install it obviously with the line. So that's the first line I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it from the underside. All those are just hand tight, and I'm going to go back and snug them up with the AN wrenches so that they don't get marred by using a regular wrench. You can kind of see, and I'm just taking the AN wrench, putting it on there, and I'm going to snug it up. It's better to leave it too loose and have a little bit of a leak and go back and tighten it later than it is to over tighten it and strip out your fitting. So remember that. Always err on the side of caution with aluminum, anything, because you don't want to strip that stuff out. It's just a pain in the butt if you do. And that same goes for anything you're doing like on an aluminum head or something like that. It just causes trouble if you over torque something. Tightening them up. I've got one more. I had these glasses before Taylor Ray. Don't get it twisted. And now I'm going to put on the hoses, and then I'll put the reservoir down and run the low pressure and pump feed to it. This is high pressure. It goes from pump to rack. So we got everything put back together, got the new belts on, and now I'm just going to put some fluid in the reservoir and we're going to start it up, see how it goes. So everything went good. Started it up, hardly made noise for any amount of time at all. We hadn't really even hear anything. Started turning it back and forth, and it's working fine. It's not making any abnormal noises. I mean, you can hear the pump running, but everything's good. It's not making any loud groans. I mean, if you get it to full lock, it makes that noise that every power steering system makes, but it's good. It's not leaking anymore. We tightened up that one. It wasn't the high pressure, it was the low pressure one. It was like really loose. I guess I skipped over when I went back down there and tightened everything up. But everything's good now. Going for a drive to make sure everything worked. So far, so good. Normally, if there's any noise, it's when you first start up and the fluid tries to cycle and everything. I want to drift my tricycle. I want to drift my trike. I want to drift my tricycle. I want to drift it where I like.